Why should I protest? In general, the jury gets protests because someone has the feeling that a rule was infringed. A boat protests because another boat interfered with her. As a result, boat A, for instance, lost places and feels she was on a race. If you lost places, or if you were damaged or injured in an incident for which you have a strong feeling you were in your right, you lodge a protest. Roughly speaking, you protest because your score was worsened by the actions of another boat. You also protest because of damage or injury. At the end of the hearing, both parties generally ask for a copy of the decision of the jury. I'd like to remind you of the prescription to Rule 67, prescription by the French Sailing Federation, which says, I quote, I read, any question about requests of damages arising from an incident involving a boat bound by racing rules of sailing or international regulations to prevent collisions at sea depends on the appropriate courts and cannot be dealt by the jury. This is crystal clear. End of the story. The jury has nothing to do with questions of damage, and that's it. The boat may also request redress in many circumstances. Read Rule 62, it's all written in there. Read it carefully. Very often competitors are disappointed by the decision of the jury about Rule 62, but read it and understand it. A race committee may protest. The first protest is the recall signals. OCS, UFD, BFD, Z flag penalty are penalties. So they are not protests, but the race committee acts as a jury in disqualifying, for instance, in case of PFD or OCS. It's not a disqualification because there was no hearing, but it's the results are the same. Generally, protests by the race committee are because the course was not sailed properly. So the boat is called DNF, but the race committee has to protest. Also for Rule 31, touching a mark. Often the person responsible for the marked boat comes to the jury and is maybe disappointed or crossed because the jury is in favor of the competitor and there is no further action by the jury because the people who come to the jury are not convincing enough that the boat really hit the mark. A race committee can also write a report to the jury for an action under Rule 69 because he was abused or threatened by one or several sailors. It's very rare. A protest committee may protest. He does it when there is underwater judging, which is the tendency now. So it's fast and efficient. Flag, penalty, turns, that's it. Generally, when ashore, the jury may open a hearing or may protest a boat when he learns by any means there was an incident with damage or injury. This shows that sailing is definitely not a contact sport. A technical committee may also protest, of course, in the same conditions as the race committee. It generally is because the boat doesn't comply with class rules or with the requirements of the sailing instructions about measurement. Just read carefully the sailing instructions and stick to them. Easy.